again we are back on Egmont Soch ki Tea Talk Train of Thought. It's the series of an episode. Basically, we try and bring the prominent personalities on Tea Talk to share their experience with the target audience so that they draw a meaningful learning out of it. Today on this Tea Talk platform, we are having Managing Director of Provoke India, Mr. Akhil Chaturvedi. Sir, welcome to Tea Talk Egmont Soch ki.
Thank you very much.
And also we have got Mr. Akash Chaturvedi, a next generation entrepreneur. Welcome to Tea Talk Egmont Soch ki, Akash.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think this is a platform where we try and share an experience of an expert so that the target audience they draw some meaningful learning. Now, Mr. Akhil, if you will see, can you share your experience when you have started, maybe right from college till the first job?
That's a very long story,
Yeah.
but I will try to summarize very quickly. After about 10 years in the industry, working where we had worked together also, and in Balsara Hygiene Products, we moved on to our entrepreneurial journey. Started as a brand, moved on to another company, Prozone, which was real estate. Then moved on to different kind of ups and downs. As you keep seeing different businesses, we are doing it. Right now, the time has come for us to start mentoring the next generation for the business. And whatever business that we are doing, there were two things which we were looking at. One was we have a hold on our customers. Whether it was Provo, whether it's Prozone, whether it is REBELCORP, a new startup which I am like the parental guidance or a mentor in this company, which is headed by my son, created by him altogether. We went through a tough presentation by him to show why we should invest and build and work on this business. It wasn't just because he was my son, he had to deliver more than that, had to do something bigger. I'm proud of him that he is moving in that direction as an entrepreneur.
I say many a times what we have seen as far as a business which goes, the son, they follow the legacy of a father and they continue with the same business. Now, Akash, dad had built an empire of and Provoke, which is the most prominent brand in the ready-made garments which are there. Now, can you tell something what are the एक बुन सोच की क्या थी जिसमें से आपको रेबल कॉर्पोरेशन जो एक आपने कंपनी बनाई है आपने उसका शुरुआत किया है?
So basically, I think the idea was the pressure. Legacy has it comes with a good and a bad. It adds a lot more pressure to what you're doing. At the same time, it also makes it easier at times. But at the same time, you have to understand that for me, the entire purpose for me to figure out what I wanted to do in life was different. The business, everything, we knew it was there. But for me, my goal was obviously, my passion was computers from a kid. I built my first website when I was 11 years old. So this was something I've always wanted to do. So my entire initiation came from a point wherein I felt I had to build something from the center where I have a privilege to do something that can be good, and at the same time, if I'm happy doing it, there's this saying, right? The happiest person is the man who never worked a day in his life because he's happy doing what he's doing. So while founding and while creating everything, that was the entire purpose. I never really thought about what is it that I set out to do or what we build on. And that opportunity and timing of the entire situation of how the world kind of evolved in our business. But the main idea was I wanted to do something that can, kind of give me purpose. So
okay, I think what I've just gone through your story, basically during COVID-19, that was the time, it was a tough time for every one of us. But in that tough time, we have come with an innovative idea, some innovative thought process. तो एक वो सोच के आपको कहाँ पे ट्रिगर किया that this is what is that actual gap which is there as for the business which is concerned?
So that entirely comes down to because it was a mixture of both. There was a mixture of a lot of free time combined with that need to do something. So I think from the perspective which we were looking, websites was all we knew. From college when I was in in the first year onwards, I started taking on projects. I started taking on more and more freelance and all of these kind of things, because it was a great means to an end. I mean, and in COVID, when we couldn't get jobs, being freshers, all of this, nobody wants to take on. And at that time, you don't have an office. It's all working remote. So nobody was open to hiring so much. So at that point, I think I was able to resonate with my peers who are also fellow students and guys who were just, well, trying to figure out what to do while this entire situation was passing on the world. And that's when we sort of started work on the platform. And the gap really was because we used everything that was out there, right? I mean, the fact is we learned on all the newest so-called easy systems, the do-it-yourself platforms, the very simple ones. But the end user, who are the customers in India, who we were talking to, who we were interacting on a day-to-day basis, they were still terrified about this entire idea about a website and technology, and it seemed to be only a tech person's job. And we want to really debunk that myth, which people have in their head about website being coding related, all of this stuff, because we also ourselves were not using these kind of platforms. So we were using the easy ones, and they were still hard for the Indian consumers. So I think that's where we sort of saw this opportunity. And, a lot of people would be terrified, you're coming against companies who are $80 billion, $30 billion in existing guys with 10, 15, 12 years of expertise. But obviously it was crazy enough for us to feel that, that there is something out here, there is something that we can make a change and impact. And I think since the time we've gotten to launch, building that product to where we are today, so far the journey's proved good. We can see the impact we've had. Yeah.
Akash, at the initial stage, once we talk in terms of design thinking process, once we talk in terms of idea generation, we empathize as far as the end customers which are concerned. So, were you sure that you could create this kind of a prototype and then a product which is now ready for the target customers to use that?
So initially, the same thing is with technology. I think it's an adventure. That's what really gives us challenging every day, is that you're building something which wasn't there yesterday, and you have to constantly keep working and improving on it. So there are mistakes, there are moments where you think it's not going to work, it's not going to happen, but it's all about trying to just, I think we look at ourselves as solving a math problem, doing it one step at a time. It's simple as that.
Okay. Mr. Akhil, I think during our time, we used to feel like, website means lot of complication, lot of techy things which are involved, and we were totally dependent on somebody else. And now we can see two generation, which is one is where the base foundation is very strong, entrepreneur, and a successful business, a brand which is concerned. So now, in fact, as far as Akash is concerned, so now his idea, he's tech savvy. So how you support Akash on this venture,
I talked to Akash on few things. There are few things when he says which actually connects with me. Because whatever we are doing in business, in terms of processes, in terms of access to customers, in terms of way to connecting with customers, how do you transact with the customers, all these things were pretty complicated in the past. They are complicated even today. But what has been complicated in the past and today has to become easy, faster, and maybe more efficient, cost efficient in the future. The one thing which triggered me was when he said the first website was made in 95 with Windows 95. At that time, people started learning how to make PowerPoint presentations. Today, everybody knows how to make a PowerPoint presentation. In the years that are come ahead, people know how to use social media. They can post things on the internet and everything. They post pictures, they post movies, they post stories. All that is done. Now, when they can do such a complicated thing, why not? You ask a question, when did you make your last website? And people say, oh, I don't know that. And he says, that was 1995. We are sitting in goddamn 2021, 2022. People can't make it. It is not yet simple. It's still a domain of engineering. Engineers who show you the silver the shiny silver there, which can be very important to do it. But it's pretty complicated. And in any business, the first thing is you have to have control over the money. That the money that is being made, the process of the way the money is being made. When you make this product and this concept which he is saying, it gives control back to every entrepreneur to have control over the money he is making. He gets control over how to access customers in the traffic. We had to go to sell clothes, we would go to large retailers who would give us access to their customers. We would make our own EBOs to bring the customers to our stores. We would start creating loyalty programs so that we could engage deeper with them. This is exactly what you need to do with digital marketing and digital tools. These are tools which are done, and this is a new age. This is a job to be done in design thinking. Moving further from the concept of design thinking is the job to be done. The job to be done remains the same. The tools are changing, and that's what connected with me. And that's when I said, let's go for it.
I see. I think it's an interesting insights to what we are getting from Mr. Akhil Chaturvedi. Fundamentally, like when we talk in terms of retailing, like the basic fundamental remains the same. As a young generation which is concerned, they try and use that tool as far as the website which is concerned. It's an interesting story, like how Akash Chaturvedi got into an entrepreneurship and came up with a rebel corporate. Just stay tuned to Ttalk ek boon Soch ki of our next episode to catch up with Mr. Akhil Chaturvedi and Mr. Akash Chaturvedi for our next insights about new entrepreneurship journey as such. Thank you very much.